And now, broadcasting live from our near-Earth hub studio, we bring you this NBN Special Report.
Alright, folks, welcome back. We should be live. This is Apac Continentals 2025, the online edition. Players are gearing up and creating their games for round 5 after lunch break. I have John Tuno with me, helping me commentary. Say hi, Tuno.
Hello,
Uh,
everyone. So
it,
we are at round 5, yeah? I've just woken up. I have no idea what we've seen before. Do you?
no, absolutely no clue. I've
Okay.
taken a look at like the IDs and stuff, but I have no idea what we've seen before. So hopefully we'll stumble into new people or new matchups. I'm looking at the
Oh, no, no
pairings.
repeats. Okay.
Yeah, looking at the pairings real quick. Any table you think might be interesting? If chat wants to help us out figuring out what to look at.
Mm, well, I'm very curious to see Man in the Moon's loop, but it looks like he's playing Corp right now.
Correct.
Um, Nuvem versus Oshiko is something I would like to see
Sounds good.
because Nuvem has gotten a big boost not having to deal with Banhar. And it looks like it's a harsh matchup for Hoshiko, but she's being played by one of the best players around, so I'm curious to see if he can make it work. So that's table 2.
Alrighty, if you could jump in table 2 and ask the players if they're
Yeah.
happy with being on stream.
Yeah, what players are, so
Awesome, then
we can jump in.
let's jump in. We have Xinqing on Nubum and the King, also with NB Kelly as his oracle on Oshiko Shiro.
Mm-hmm. We have an oversized corp, which is the norm for Nuvem,
Yeah.
and we have a 47 card runner on the king. Now, I know you play with the king often, so would you happen to know what this Hoshiko is about? You don't have to tell us, but I want to know if you know.
I have an inkling. I haven't checked in with the King on what list he ended up deciding to play, but he was very up on a particular Hoshiko, so I have an inkling of what we're about to see. Um, that
How
being
spicy
said,
are we talking?
I say again.
How spicy will we be talking?
Uh, I feel like it's spicier than the regular Hoshiko we've been seeing in the past with all the companions and stuff. So we'll see um, how much the king decided to spice up his runner this time around.
Okay, we've started. We are going to have. This is going to potentially be an extra long game because the king usually has an extension. We start by just hedge funding. Turn 1, Nulem, click 1.
Fairly standard click one, and then protecting centrals with two eyes. Xinjing not worried about rushing out just yet. Maybe playing the hand that he was given. It looks like the corp took a mulligan, but the runner is on a keep, so we're expecting fireworks here and from the runner who draws and plays a sure gamble click 2. So fairly regular start, but a good one nonetheless.
Okay. We're playing Leech. Oh, we see a pivot in Archives. Now, does pivot usually signal something on Nubem's part? Because I don't think quite everyone plays it. My bets, if I were to see a pivot, will be on Oppo. I don't know if that's true, if players are going to make that assumption.
There was one pivot in the Jai list that went round for a while.
Oh,
The Measure Regards was playing one pivot, so it might just be something that Changing found on top of the deck and decided to just get rid of, being not like a central part of his strategy.
this makes sense. So it was pivot mostly being used as like an agenda tutor, like sort of like a DRM, right?
Yes, also a fourth copy of Measure Response in the
Mm.
points where you really needed a second one and you couldn't find it.
Oh, look what we have.
We can probably zoom in a little bit. Yeah, Brandon
So we
showing
have
up with the crew and the gourmand here, challenging server 1, being able to thrash anything above at 4 or less strength.
we've made a very specific run on archives here to get Leech to 2 counters, which will normally, will normally be a very gratuitous run. What are we worried about specifically? I guess if there's a logjam, you're trashing it with no tag. Here with Maskurovka, the counter you got with Leech is sort of useless.
The Leech counter doesn't seem incredibly useful, although I have a suspicion that the king is not worried about keeping this tag for now.
Mm-hmm.
The gourmand is going to draw him into the 4th card, which means he's virtually immune to end of the line.
I mean, this could have been an agenda over.
That's very true.
Also, it's a ant hill, so against an ant hill, do you want to save the 1 credit with gourmand? Do you want to keep the gourmand for later? If there's an end of a line in hand, which is very possible, you're just about to die. Okay, and we decide to be safe. I guess I wonder whether that's the consideration here, to save a credit. I guess you're still drawing a card and you want to do that as soon as possible because you want to be building some sort of engine.
And ice on archives from the Nuven player here, making sure the Leech does not get a lot of value. 1 crew kind of calls for more, so I'm expecting the runner to be able to punch a hole in one of these centrals to get the Leech value later down the line, but slowing down the engine early on is definitely a good way of making the game longer, but slightly better for the Corp for sure.
Yeah, and if you have to punch a hole through archives, you're not particularly happy about that. Oh, okay, this is the king. This is a classic.
That's the good old Audrey V2 cornerstone of Mulch Engine in the past, and now taking a bit of maybe the spot of Omakua in the ice destruction list that was running around before Elevation, being able to break any ice.
Playing this track fund before the Audrey is sort of strange, isn't it? Because you will always be able to sell the track fund to the flower.
Yeah, that looks like maybe a slight inaccuracy.
Not sure.
We'll see. It doesn't end up mattering that much as long as the king meant to click for a credit after the spin doctor run, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with your line there. Meanwhile, changing ice on a newer mode, install something, and then KPIs for 2 credits and an advancement counter.
Advancement. Is this going to be an off the books?
It screams off the book. It might be a desperation slash and burn, although I think that might be a little early for that.
No, I don't think you will do that. Like you're not desperate enough yet.
Yeah, I tend to agree.
Unless your gameplay is so focused on hyper rushing that you need to do that. But even then, if you do that, you're certainly going to have to keep a slash and burn around for fast advancing. So this is probably enough the books. And that's a crew charm. Okay, so if this is a Charlotte, you're okay. Otherwise, you're like, it's a pretty bad thing to see.
Although the runner is not going to get in with any credit whatsoever if the corp can res the ice. So really interesting spot here. If that's any advanceable asset, the corp is very happy to just res and make sure the runner can't trash it. On the other hand, if it is an agenda like the KPI kind of signals, then this might be a totally different situation.
Mm-hmm. Essentially, a bit frustrated at the game having exactly the right cards in hand. It is always feels a bit weird when you make the bold move of pushing something and there's crew charm right away. Now, are we okay with losing this ice? Some message as well. So that's good because you want to force the corp to expend the discharge, right? Like, at some point, the corp is going to be able to use leech for everything, and you really don't want that to happen. because it's much more convenient for them. So forcing them to use the charm right now, right when you're in a good place for that. That's good. We got a Basalt Spire, which gave us back the message as well. So again, we have a good ice. That's great.
Yeah, the corp cycling back the ice makes sense, especially if you're expecting this game to go long and maybe have the runner threshold of your ice. Getting back as many pieces of ice, especially the big one that require some work to get thrashed, is definitely a strategy that can work against it in this matchup. Looks like the king asked for a second to think, and then decided not to use any paid ability, which might be just Audrey discarding a Steel Skin or a Strike Fund to get at some important breakpoint during the turn.
My assumption would actually be that there are 2 skill sins in hand, and you're thinking about potentially protecting yourself from an underline.
Makes absolute sense, especially when Audrey trashes the first Steel Skin, finds 2 cards, draws 2 more cards. It might be just the king was calculating the odds of using a Steel Skin to find the last Steel Skin.
That's
or
possible.
the second one, rather. With messages in the list, I am not necessarily expecting End of the Line to come out of this new list.
Like, that's a much stronger approach towards Rush. Also, we've seen a Basalt advance with 1 advancement, which does a thing that's seamless in hand. There could be just a slash and burn, but again, single advancing a Basalt is much more of a rush that play, so Oppo is becoming less and less likely as time goes on.
Yeah, totally agree with the read as well there. It feels
so
like
we're potentially just keeping this tag.
Mm-hmm. It looks like that's exactly what the king is doing, keeping the tag, although there's no resource on the board that we might be worried about losing.
Oh, business as usual. These tracks, we know that there was a message transfer return to hand, which is very possibly the as we just advanced with business as usual. It's also like, against a deck like this, against an Audrey deck, it's always interesting to play this aggressively because you know you're going to be able to remove counters from Audrey later on. And that can be a very powerful game turning play. So you have to choose whether to use it aggressively. But I guess you'll want to trigger Nova every turn if you can, so you just use it here.
Yeah, the tempo of also threatening the Messenger's vote counters and potentially push the agenda in server 4 is quite significant.
Yeah, I haven't considered this before, but if you score a Basalt and you have a business as usual, something that's based on others is going to really struggle at this point. Right? Oh, I see. We're keeping this tag for sure. We have Manuel.
Yeah, the king showing his hand a little bit with the Manuel Lattes Temura. But face checking into.
May not survive this face check.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely not going to survive the face check, but we're still going to get through here, and we may be able to trash something. If we find like an Anthill or a Spin Doctor, we can. Oh no! We even lose the Audrey, so there's no way that we can threaten the remote. So this is the thing started off pretty well, but this is a very harsh face check.
This is probably the worst face check the king could have gone into. Hammer just breaking
out of Wayland eyes for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
We just try to transfer here. I guess you're hoping this is a logjam, because if it is, you may seal the jamming server 4.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Even if the ice is like a 2 or 3 cost, it might just be enough that Changeling cannot res the ice on server 4.
Okay.
Descent is enough for now.
This is. Transfer of Wealth is becoming my favorite of the 3 siphons. You know, Account Siphon, Diversion of Funds, and then Transfer of Wealth. I think Transfer of Wealth is my favorite, actually. It's definitely great that you can just play it for 0 and make this kind of play where you're like, I'm going to force you to res your eyes. And if you do, it's not that much of a loss for me because I've just spent a click and 0 credits.
Yeah, absolutely. I understand your point at all completely. It's like it's non-committal to use it. Whiffing it is not that bad because the damage of having a nice res is more or less the same as making it through and stealing those credits. Although like you would have loved the extra money, but that's not what the king that's not the important part about
The
that
point
turn.
here
Yeah.
is getting to seal this agenda, which turns out to be another off the books. Sorry, and the one off the books. I thought this would be the second basalt, considering the Discord looked very much like the one, the previous one.
I was exactly expecting the same. Although an over advance of the books opens up a lot of lines in these kind of Nuvem lists, it finds more points if you are in an economic position to push them. It finds potentially an anthill or a spin doctor to find more cards and or credits, depending on what you need. Right now, 4 credits is not a lot for the core player who cannot res any ice to defend their servers.
Okay, there's going to be a Flesh and Burn in hand that we're going to shuffle it back, I think. I am saying this because I think if you have... Oh, no Flesh and Burn is shuffled, but I would assume that there was one.
How come?
Because if you do have... If you have a Seamless, you would use it on the Basalt Spire, and you would also use it on off the books, so there's not really a need to over advance off the books. Whereas if you have a Slash and Burn, that's only good for over advancing the Basalt Spire, because that can get it back to safety. So maybe there is one. I'm not sure.
My read on the over advancement of the book is that Changeling was looking for a spin doctor to get rid of the agendas without having to use the scent in that way.
Mm-hmm. Oh right, because if you slash and burn and off the books and get a spin, that's also a way you can get spin.
Correct.
I've never thought about it. I don't think I've over advanced off the books much since Elevation launched yet. I played a knob rush list that did that a bit, but then sort of moved to more evil things.
Makes sense. All right, it looks like we're back. And I might also take the hint from the players and refresh my pages as well, because my audio is definitely messed up in the game. I'll be right back, folks. Okay.
Nothing relevant that happened with Raindrops, Archives, and Summit Descent. Getting the Descent Res always opens up a little extra option for the court, just like we just saw.
Yeah.
It's interesting that we shuffle back to agendas from HQ. We have a relatively safe rebuild, right? The only thing we're lacking is enough money to reliably res the ice. So you will want to keep agendas in hand a little bit.
That's true. On the other hand, the runner is one crew charm away from getting into server 4 if the corp cannot res both ice.
Yeah, you have to be able to res both at this point, probably, because you've already had the intense experience of having both cards installed on you very suddenly, and you don't want to have it again. So this is maybe just an anthill or a spin. And you're certainly threatening the runner to come and run here. Probably just... Could it be something like a tree line on the Automust? Because we know... I will say we know almost with certainty that it's a Master Chest for Innermost.
Yeah, and we know both of them cannot be res on a 3 credits, because Changing would have definitely done it to save the agenda last turn.
Oh, right. Yeah. So that's actually a very good Sudoku process.
I'm interested. I guess I was about to say I'm interested in the decision of not using petty cash, but the log tells me that the corp did not start with 3 credits. Yeah, so that wasn't a possibility.
Here is getting to 3. If you do that, you can play petty cash. I think on a turn where you play petty cash, you're quite happy to purge because you are doing something very meaningful with your turn, and so you're okay with losing the rest of it. So if the king does not pop the fermenter here, we might just see it purge. We remove a tag, I was not expecting this. Like, you're going to be. Oh, remove attack so we can play Praxis. Okay, I get it. So is that like a Valentina in this deck?
There might be. It would fit the pattern of like
Good.
kind of sab game of taking and removing attack. Maybe a less frequency that Sebastião does, but would definitely make
Yeah.
sense. I'm
Are we
interested.
going to install a program?
Yeah, I was about to say
Oh,
I'm interested in seeing if and what programs this Praxis finds.
yeah, because we are at MU, so it would have made sense to pop the fermenter before the Praxis, but maybe we are interested. I'm not sure. Maybe we really need this last click to get an Audrey counter or something. Let's see what this does. Oh, right. We lose the Bachelors actually. That makes perfect sense because the descent was going to get back to hand anyway.
Yeah,
So there was no way for the bottle to survive.
I figured the Butchers was gone, but I would have thought Audrey would have come out here almost every time. Instead, the King chooses to go for a Gourmand without any real like access to cards to trash right now.
Yeah, I mean, no, I disagree. You can run pretty much everywhere now, right? You have two Lich counters and a crew. If the ice on server 4 is a Trila, you can get through that. If it's like a Stavka, doesn't matter that much.
Right, I
And you can
failed
get
to consider
into all
crew.
centros.
I definitely failed to consider crew as a way to
Yeah,
break
yeah.
ice, but that makes total sense.
So we're officially not respecting end of the line anymore at all, which probably makes sense. We see it Concords.
We still have Gourmand to get to 4, I think. So we are now dead to one end of the line, and the Corp cannot represent 2 right now. Or rather, it can with the Novum trigger, but that would be quite the hand.
But there's this Concord, I think, that also tells us an extra story. More importantly, actually, we have to respect measure response rather than end of the line. A card that I keep dying to quite often.
Yeah, measure
We
response.
have not pressed anything in server 4, so there was not an end hill. So it could be a spin, very, very possibly. It could be an agenda that we're just keeping safe.
And it could be an upgrade that maybe makes sense. Although I figured Managram would probably show up in the remote before any different upgrade, but maybe planning a Tucana play or a Malapert play, and just setting up the upgrade before finding the agenda to push.
That makes sense. Do we have this concourse in hand? That's also a thing you would like to install. Like that would be the first upgrade. Maybe a Hollow Man makes sense also. Anyway, we don't use our Novum trigger, and we prefer to ice RND. So to me, this is like a very possible agenda on top, and I wonder if the king is perceptive enough and maybe able to get in. That would be potentially a game-winning play. At this point, it's you have to be really, really careful because any agenda you lose is probably going to cost you the game. I don't know if there's an eminent or something, but I think most agendas are going to be just a game loss. And Porous Eyes is not going to cut it. Okay, we untag again. I imagine there are more Praxis in the deck, so you have to do it at some point. In this case, we just install a Devil Charm and pass.
Setting up for potentially another Bacchus into a Praxis, or any way to get through that descent. Burnham might be on some amount of real breakers outside of the Audrey and Bacchus anyway, so an Abazi or a Buzzsaw showing up might be.
An Abazi.
I don't know.
The fact that you bring up this card just tells me you know something that I do not.
I just play a lot with Koga. That's mostly what's up.
Abazi is a card that in NSG the other day someone realized it exists, and we were very amazed for a second that he had made this. Just not a card that you see every day or actually on any day. Okay, and we do install crew and they're ready to break HQ. This makes a lot of sense given that we've seen multiple unrealized Nuvem triggers. And then we've also seen draws on top of that. So if those Nuvem triggers that we didn't use were agendas, the agendas are going to come to end up in hand as they often do. So if we just run HQ a few times, this might just be the win.
Yeah, and with crew and charm, you can definitely ensure that you can get into that HQ right now, and changing in a very tough spot considering if he wants to burn the crew and the charm right now, and looks like that's the answer. Rising the logjam, forcing the expands.
Again, good thing you can burn the charm. But if there are agendas in hand here, you're going to feel very, very uneasy. So that's a KPI. Are we going to trash that? Are we going to get in again?
KPI also like a really good tool at managing agendas if necessary. So
So you would have liked to use it on the next turn.
Possibly,
assuming
yeah.
there's a little bit of agendas present in Sinchling's hand. Now, I think you really want to try and come in again because seamless launch, okay? Because the king doesn't actually have much of a board or money to speak of, so this could be the turning point for Sinchling. So if you can just sort of snatch a win, you want to do it right now.
Yeah, surviving the turn is quite big. One more click on the runner to ideally find the point to win. But the runner economy, the runner economy is definitely taken a hit. No Audrey to speak of, which would have been the way to challenge this server 4 in a later turn. And so right now, nothing on the board for Brendan that does something to improve his chances right now.
We are really pondering his last click. I do think there's a serious consideration of this is a powerful run on server 4. So we have an eyes on the outermost, which we said could be maybe riseable at 4. We don't know for sure at all. And then there's okay, we have a Winchester Dermot. So we were right about being a 4-cost eyes. I was expecting a 3-lane or maybe a Stavka, but it is something that you tend to put on a different server. Forcing the res is meaningful, but then there's no... Oh, it's a Malapert. Okay, you were exactly right.
So it was the setup upgrade for Nuvem right now, and instantly expanding the descent, shuffling 2 Basalt Spire, telling us that there definitely was enough points to win the game in HQ if
the runner's cube would have been a thing for sure. But we have to put these Basalt Spires away because there's no way that we can even chuck them in the remote for them to be safe.
Nope, currently
it's not. Yeah. It's just not a place where we can res meaningful eyes right now.
Yeah, especially
the message has yeah.
Especially if considering the fact that Winchester is definitely blank right now, since it's not on HQ and Runner has literally no cards on the table. So both players stuck clicking for credits. Or whether...
Do you run R&D as the king right now? That will be a fun play. There's really nothing that Hammerface can punish you for.
Yeah, at this point we don't expect the tag to be meaningful unless we have more copies of Praxis to use to get into to get more crews. But that would be an interesting play. Although, does the Corp know the top of the deck?
We dissented and then we did trash something, so we don't know. The Corp doesn't know.
Oh, right.
What the deck is. A whole lot ago. Okay, this is not a card that's supposed to come down by turn 12. But that's what we have.
Other benefit of not running is that you get to flip with Shiko, which is somewhat of a bit of like some semblance of money, especially if you expect to draw a little bit with Lago in the following turns.
Yeah, you're definitely poor enough right now. This is a good thing to do. But still, install in server 4 that you are quite, like, just a bit too economically weak to be sure you can 100% sustain. If there is another transfer of wealth right now, the king could just run server 4, get nothing bad happening from the Winchester, and then probably go through the unrest eyes. And who knows what's in there.
I want to attract your attention to the trash from Lago, which from the top
Oh,
removed a
yeah, yeah,
T400
yeah.
memory diamond.
Interesting card. It's a T400. I wonder, is this a hint that we're just playing console-less? That would be a strange but very possible actually thing to do, because we don't want to play Keiko in here. I doubt we want to play Carnivore. Amanuensis could make some sense. No, I mean, I think you play Amanuensis before you play T400, right? Because what's the hand size doing for you?
6 hand size is enough to survive touch-ups end of the line in some matchups, which is fairly
The king is
important.
big of that. Yeah, the king is big of on never to kill. So I think this, I guess, is the kind of thing where, like, you tend to try and prepare yourself towards, like, against the matchup that you are the best at, because you tend to have this sort of bias where you see them as the most important.
Mm-hmm.
That's definitely something that I do. I'm a bit guilty of it, and I can see the king doing the same here and going like, "Oh, I'm going to play this bad card, but it survives the one deck that I think I'm good at." Oh, we have Emmanuel Gourmand and the transfer.
We're going extremely aggressive on checking HQ, seeing 2 cards there, gourmanding the Stavka and letting the Seamless live, but probably checking the remote.
Now.
Yeah.
I imagine that's the play. Oh, we're raindrops in the Winchester, which is great. We get 2 subroutines to fire for very little benefit, actually no benefit at all to the corp. And then probably costing right through the second ice, and maybe the Justice can't work. If the Justice can't work, you're still happy you played the raindrops.
Yeah, I expect this not to be an agenda, because Changing absolutely knows about the threat of more transfer of wealth. Oh,
well, no, it is.
Never mind.
Okay.
GG gets called.
If there is a transfer of wealth, your HQ is just as vulnerable as your remote, and so Xinjiang was just making a gamble that the transfer was not there. We don't know how many transfers there could be, right? Because there's actually no influence at all was shown, so we maybe expect 3. So it's quite a potent threat and a very risky play to have to do, but you have to do the risky play sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, as Xinjiang said, like, you have to vote.
Having to hard call the transfer not being in hand makes absolute sense.
All very reasonable. I've been shown here. Beautiful dice for both players, beautiful plays for both players. Are we going to pick something else to watch?
Absolutely.
I don't know how much time we have in the round even.
Let me check real quick from Discord. It looks like we have about 10 minutes. So we might have...
Okay, time is flying. So we have a few players we could look at. Again, we don't know what's next.
If we can jump on table 5, we have a Bangun that's doing very well.
No, it's just ended.
Oh, never mind.
That's a shame. Oh yeah, I didn't collect the Bangun when looking at the tables. It could have definitely also been a pick. Hopefully we can still find it. Are we going to look at table 7? That's Ob versus Sable.
Sounds good to me.
There are many kinds of Ob. So I think Ying 64 is someone who tends to play sort of wide rush Ob. And then to go and ask if you want to be streamed.
Thank you very much.
Yep, both players are here being streamed, so let's jump in.
Awesome.
Do we see a very beautiful board? You don't know how happy I am right now.
I might...
So we have a very good Sable setup, but on the other side, we have Front Company, Triple Blood Word, or Star Architecture, and we have what could be something like an agenda push, or maybe something else, protected by a reduced service.
There are also 4 points face up in archives right now.
Oh, 4 points face up. Okay. Which, is like you're dangling these 4 points in front of a runner, and no one knows if there's a spin or not, but you can take 2 net damage to find out. Okay, so just jumped in, trying to figure out what's going on. My bet will be that the corp is trying to push something in server 9. That could be an agenda, that could be just an anthill. As the runner, you could win off an agenda steal. So what kind, like, this is it's a very powerful board on the corp side with a lot of threats. Are you going to try and contest the server 9? Are you going to try and go and defuse something else? That's in server 9 requires that you expend a bunch of your hard-earned money. And then if it's like an anthill, you still have to pay the hostile tax to trash it. So let's see what we do.
Saka, click when running R&D. It's free with Chesve and also unlocks the front company.
And removes a reduced service counter. We break the game 1 credit routine on Tithe. Against a Bladderwort deck, this is always an interesting choice to make. Because we know that Ink 64 is going to be able to do damage with Bladderwort for sure. Almost for sure. And this credit on Tithe can potentially make a difference, but it's always like, are you just going to give your opponent free money for the sake of maybe saving damage? Unsure.
Yeah, I understand the dilemma there. Saka deciding to not give out free money, expecting the corp to be able to fire the Bladderwoods regardless of the.
And we are clicking on R&D. Okay. We are again breaking both subroutines. We are trashing the Spin Doctor and going again. We don't find an agenda. Again, we are 1 agenda away from winning here, apparently. We are okay, and the second round was partly to get a counter after this service so we can run more easily. I don't believe the corp would normally just push an agenda here, right? I've just come back. I don't know the entire context, but are you going to take this risk where the runner can just run it and win the game? That must be like an anthill, right?
Yeah, that sounds really risky.
What's going on? We have a wait sorry from Subka. After rounds began, are we trying to get a take back of some kind? Oh, I think we have the Cybersend actually. This is not a play that happens often, but we have the Cybersend Harvester.
Mm-hmm.
So we can potentially over-install the agenda if yeah, okay, we're trying to get a take back, but action has happened because a Cybersend was blocked. So we're not sure if the take back is going to happen. Looks like the players are okay with taking it back unless a judge comes in and says don't do that. That's probably what's going to happen. Okay, so we run with a run event apparently.
Let's see what run event Saka decides to use. Bahia band makes sense.
But we're popping the Cybersend. This could be so that we can res a nice here, maybe a Stavka, or it could be to overwrite an agenda.
Ooh, FUD is an interesting choice.
We get a third, but I guess we are probably trying to res something. Is this going to be like a Stavka? A Stavka will be a good hit, right? The runner doesn't exactly have money to deal with to trash all subroutines on this, right? It will cost 6 credits. So you can spend 5 and break 1, or maybe you would just let both fire. But that's such a bad proposition for you.
Yeah. And it looks like the Bahia ban play actually ended up costing Saka the chance of breaking this.
So we're just firing all. So I guess the Karma is going to go, maybe the Horror is going to go. And I imagine this is not an agenda. If this is an agenda, it's going to be a very funny circumstance. So this is really getting Saka to a weird plays. Definitely a very disadvantaged plays. And the question from there is, are you going to just run R&D and see if you can snatch it off the top, because your chances are decreasing as time goes on.
So for people who are asking in chat why pop the Cybersend, that's because you need the credits to res the Stavka. Ying was on 3 credits. That wasn't enough to res the 4-cost Stavka on the remote. So the 2 credits on the Cybersend were necessary to get enough money. And at that point, might as well install the FUT. You're not threatening a 1-pointer steal probably in this list, but you're still trying to score stuff and keep grinding the runner who's about to take 3 damage from Bloodworth and probably forcing 1 or 2 stone ships in the next few turns.
But if you use a stone ship, like, there are 6 cards in the stack. So you are surviving a kill, but you are not properly, you know, like, you're still running, you're still open to being grinded out.
Yeah, makes
Now,
absolute sense.
Are we going to see an ice on R&D? That would be probably a wise choice here, because you are seriously risking just losing off a random access. Maybe there are ways for you to find an ice there. Well, you certainly can basalt something. You can basalt a lamplighter that is still porous in a way, but still reduces the amount to which the runner can try and get in. And one in chat asking why FUT with the second running 1 point is. Oh yeah, no. I think the FUT was just collateral, a collateral gain from popping that 5% for money.
Corp finding an interesting way to go down to Bloodworth range by playing this measure response. Sokka's probably in a position where he can't afford to take 4 damage and kind of wing the rest of the game from there. So I'm expecting him to pay, although this is a very interesting spot to play from. You might decide that the cards in hand don't matter and you need the money for something. Although I don't see anything on the board that tells me that the money is necessary right now.
Mm-hmm. I think both. I don't think it makes that much of a difference either way. Most likely, the way you win is going to be by running R&D.
Yeah, of which you don't need credits right now, right? Like you would be happy.
You need credit, or well, I guess you do need cards.
Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly what Sokka's thinking as well. Just need to touch one more agenda. The 2 agendas in archives make it a little harder because density is much lower when those 4 points are not in R&D.
Crusher wall to wall, so those credits do end up mattering. But thanks to Chazby, we have something. Now time is cold now, so Sokka would win on. Oh, and Sokka does win on points. Okay, we're still on that. Good. We have a Spin Doctor on the board, probably. I wonder if that was beneficial. It was beneficial or not to shuffle things back somehow. Very interesting position. Very good job on Sokka for getting it back, because this was looking very, very scary for him.
Yeah, Sokka probably 1 or 2 turns away from actually getting grinded out by the Titan. The Bloodworth find the line to maximize the chances of winning, and R&D pays off despite having only 8 and 5, 8, yeah, and 4 is 12. So 8 points in the 17 cards that compose R&D at the start of Sokka's turn.
So round 5 should be about over now.
I think that's the case. We're missing 1 report from table 13 and 1 from table 19, but other than that, yeah, it looks like the
I think we're just playing the last turn is there.
Yeah.
And then we're going to look at standing and see how we're doing. Well, the king is definitely going to be still undefeated, and Leah also undefeated. So the king is a classic, I think. Time-honored player. We all know him. Leah has been playing for just a little bit. I think she's an American player who started relatively recently, and has won Cascadia a couple of weeks ago, if I'm not mistaken, right? So definitely also a new player to watch out. We're possibly going to see her play against the king unless they matched up already. No, they can't have because they're both undefeated. So that could be a game to watch if we're okay with watching the king play again.
That makes sense. We'll see what the side turns out to be because it's round
Yeah,
5, so they're both on a runner plus side balance. So I think they might not be able to match up against each other next round due to.
I think you're right. Yeah. Sometimes that balance takes over.
We'll see how the standings and the pairings match up in a second. Meanwhile, let's take a look at the rest of the field. We have a corp win from In the Moon with the Alb against Antoine's Sable. We have a lot of runner wins on the high tables. We have to go all the way around to table 10 to find our second corp win.
Interesting. We still haven't figured out what the side balance of this match is like, right? Because we had EMEA, which was very corp favored, and Cascadia that was very runner favored, and I'm not sure how IRL Epic turned out. But I wonder how the meta is going to shape up. On communications, we have Warlock, who is not me, and Yantuna, who is me.
Yeah, that's correct. I'm
Mostly correct.
I'm of the opinion that the longer a meta goes, the better it becomes for runners. Usually, you get to kind of understand the threats a little bit better, get to tune the decks to what you're expecting to find, and I think the runner is the side that benefits the most from that kind of evolution.
Usually the case.
Yeah.
And then sometimes there are metas where someone finds a cracked corp, like 3 months into it.
Like an Adzmari deck that kind of kills the runner in some way. Joke did not land.
Sorry? Oh, yeah. No. Sorry, I tuned out, but I think actually my brain registered what you said and just processed it, and now I am very angry. Okay. Getting ready for round 6.
Looks like we have our pairings. Unfortunately, we missed out on the Leah versus the King matchup.
I'm sure. I want to say we might get it on the last round, but actually, we may just have IDs on the last one.
If both of them win, then that would be what I expect to see. Yeah. Although if you want to see the Man in the Moon Lu is currently playing against Oko's Leah.
Yes. I don't know if players already were streamed there, but I'd really like to see that. Lu is not something that is on most people's radar, but Man in the Moon is a big fan. So I would like to see what he's picked up, and we know that Leah is a very good Oko player. So let's go and have a look at that as soon as the table is up.
That would be a very interesting one to see for sure. Also, both American players, both on the I want to say West Coast, although I'm not sure where Leah is based from. Although for both of them, it's getting fairly late. I think pushing midnight for the West Coast players, and definitely past midnight for the East Coast ones. Yeah, Sindarin confirming my head math there. 11, like quarter to 11 almost. Quarter past 11.
That's not worse. We've done worse.
Yeah, surely, but it's still not the best position to play 2 more rounds of Netrunner after having played 5 already. You would love to get to bed soon-ish at that point, I think.
Okay, we are good to stream here, so
Perfect.
feel free to jump in. It's going to be a couple minutes before we start still.
Absolutely. Watch. So, what do you think about the matchup without knowing any of the cards inside the decks? How is the Oko versus Lu, despite Lu not being maybe the most popular or maybe well explored deck of the meta right now?
So I expect the Oko to be tag based, just because that's what we've seen from Leah in recent past. That's not always the case. Sometimes you play a deck with very specific threat, and you switch to another archetype of the same ID, so your opponents have to respect you. And the more you are notorious for that, the better it works out. I would assume that being a sort of asset-based list, Lu can get a lot of mileage here. There's also maybe the case that it actually sounds quite possible that Lu is on cruise, and that can be a little awkward to make work if you have to remove your tags. I don't really know more. I wonder if we're going to be on Cacophony. If we're going to be on Gachapons to find those cacophonies? Very, very unsure. Leah does say this matchup makes me super nervous, and I agree. We'll be in the same place.
Yeah, that checks out. The Oko definitely wants to have a bunch of things installed on the board, and Lu loves to take care of those, getting some value from crushing. I don't think we'll see a Demolisher hit the board, which would be which we've seen in the past, and would be definitely like an additional nail in the proverbial coffin that Main the Moon hopes to build in this game.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very interested in seeing what this Lu has to offer. We've seen a Lu do fairly well at EMEA, if I'm not mistaken, built by Rusty Rider.
Do we? I think it made the cut. Did it?
It didn't make the cut. It was a win away, but I think the list performed quite well. And the corp was the.
I think I missed that. I'm very curious to see what that is. I also expect Man in the Moon to not have that deck. This is definitely the kind of deck that people like to build.
Yeah, 100%.
So it might be something completely different.
Also, Man in the Moon famously played a lot of Freedom Kumalo in the past. So definitely an expert of this kind of scrappy Anarch decks that love to treasure eyes, treasure stuff on the board, and kind of control the installed cards.
And Galactifun.
Both players on a keep, so we're not gonna see we don't expect terribly flooded hands that might end the game quickly, which is good.
Okay, classic start. So we have a foot on turn 1. And an Ice HQ. I guess we're trying to protect ourselves from Lu being aggressive on HQ and getting triggers off it. I wonder if there's going to be something spicy like Transfer of Wealth again. It's worth noting that the two players almost certainly know each other, right? So Leah may have some idea about what this deck is.
That's a good
more
point.
than we do.
Yeah.
So it could be the case that you have to Ice HQ. Oh, and we just ran the remote.
I was about to say the 4 credit is not enough to like kind of threaten the runner on a face check. You don't have access to size and 10.
It's like, yeah, an Anemone is not the best, but
yeah,
it's still quite a threat. You're going to get your auto trigger if you get your Anemone raised. Now, where's the Maximum? That's okay. Notably, the runner could go through the maximum by losing 3 cards, and that does not trigger Oko because you are the one who is suffering the damage, rather than the corp dealing it. We decide to redirect to HQ, risking something like a Sting, which will be quite a threat, but we just find a Bladderwort instead, and that goes.
Man in the Moon getting 2 cards and 1 credit for trashing that Bladderwort.
Very
good
worthwhile.
value for sure. And curb stacked on clicking for more credits after drawing up.
Now there's a limit to how much we can just run centrals to try and get loot triggers, because a Sting or even a Sting or a Fuji will be a very difficult thing to have to deal with. Actually, a Fuji on the last run could have already been game losing. I mean, I assume there are not multiple skins in Main the Moon's hand, because otherwise you will just get through to the maximum there. So you could have already lost the game to a Fuji Axis, which is fun.
Yeah, that's certainly true.
And we still are we going to take this risk again? Maybe we are.
No res.
Petty cash. Okay, that's it's an interesting crash, because you're still giving your opponent half of the petty cash. But I think maybe you just won't get your triggers. No. Okay.
Maybe I'm gonna say not to. Petty cash is playing petty cash from hand as Oko feels quite bad. Although in some spots like this one, you feel like you're forced to use it. There's no cohort inside that might help you put it in archives, and overdrawing it doesn't feel particularly effective either. So,
yeah. I think here you're like a free credits. You don't have any commitments to the board like agendas you have to score. You're sort of happy just doing that. We install an Azimuth.
do you think that's calling for a damage on some maximum? No, never mind. Man in the Moon decided to access R&D with 3 cards in hand.
That. Yeah, we're still making plays that read is very risky to me. Like, if you find a Fuji, are you going to have multiple Siskins to know that you're surviving? Or are we just expected to potentially lose? Very, very, very interesting questions. We find a house state. This is good to trash right now, even though there's still going to be a burst in credits from the petty cash. So maybe not quite forcing the corp to kick more.
Yeah. By the way, Man in the Moon is playing. My read is that the hand has to contain some amount of Steelskin. It might even be 2 out of the 3 cards he was holding in hand for the access.
Wouldn't you just run as a maximum?
Maybe. Although maybe you're looking for a way to break that. You don't necessarily want to expend your Steelskin right now, right? They give you safety throughout the game, and if you can get rid of the FUT later on without having to take 3 damage, that might prolong the longevity of the deck, which is only on 40 cards, and we haven't seen any wave recursion, although there might be some hidden away in the stack or the grip.
Knowing Man in the Moon, I would expect at least a buffer drive.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Petty cash goes as expected. I guess part of my question is, do we think there's a hybrid release or something in the deck? Because in that case, you can snipe potential Steelskins. They're left in hand, and then the benefits of hoarding them are not as pronounced. Okay, we install 2 cards in your remotes. These are very vulnerable to Azimuth and to Lu. You normally wouldn't want to do this, but I guess the threat of having something like a Sting down is very, potentially very effective, and this can allow you to slip even more dangerous things. And oh my god, it's a chisel. We're going to run multiple times and just chisel away this maximum.
If there's a way to diffuse the Samaxamoon and remove the fat and kind of make sure that any sting on the board is only 1 damage, this is it. Really like the play.
Sort of immune to Trojans in a lot of ways, but this is not what it does. It's going to take our whole turn. This is definitely not the best chisel I've ever seen, but it does the job here. And I guess if a lot of Okos are playing touchable or even white space, Chisel is actually quite good. Yeah, I guess Chisel, if this is becoming white space meta, could be a more widely adopted card. That's exciting to think about.
Yeah.
Chisel, notably a very good card in Eternal, because that is a format with a lot of 0 strength ice, like Tour Guide and Quandary and Vanilla. So again, if their meta switches towards those, that could be an interesting include.
Love the Eternal mention.
Yeah. Like, I've played very little Eternal, but one of my favorite plays for the little Eternal that I've played involved, Chisel on a face down on an unrezzed eyes, the Eternal to be a tour guide. So I know how fun of a card it can be in the right environment.
Leah installing 3 new cards, kind of daring the runner to check them, and I think Man in the Moon is not gonna wait long before pouncing on them. That's exactly what happens. Hermes is also a really interesting include here. Snatching an agenda from the board. Ooh, and that's a Fuji. Might turn this game around really quickly.
Okay, so we are bouncing back something, reducing the amount of tracks you have to be playing around right now. We lose a Simmel ship, which entirely expected for this deck. We lose a crew, entirely expected also. So Hermes makes a lot of sense. This is really harking back to the Freedom Days of Time Past.
Yeah.
Now, we would like to draw up. I guess you can sort of draw up by running a remote. Since you're loop and you have an azimuth down, you're relatively confident that you can just trash something and then withdraw you a card. And that money will not be an issue in the long run, I think, with this fermenter growing very large.
It might be a position where the corp is happy just to purge it, because 5 is a massive amount.
Maybe, but right now you're not really doing anything with your turn. Like if you had something that was dripping, like you had blood that works down, I tend to be a lot happier to purge in this situation, but here purging seems to really just invite the runner to drip more, do more things, and contest your board a lot. So this Fuji looks like it was put down as sort of a threat with like sort of a bait with the foot down. Like if while the foot is active, you let this get stolen, it's 5 damage, that's potentially game winning, or still that's potentially a very strong turn in the balance of the game, and so you're happy to lose 3 points. But yeah, once the foot is dealt with, that's a very powerful liability to have down, and that's what we are exploiting. So with Treasure Moon Pool, you have to get those. You have to get rid of those at some point, and with Azimat, we might as well do it now. And are we going to draw up or make a very brave round and start the 6?
Running less clear against Jinteki is never a very safe option. I don't think Man in the Moon has to take risks here. The worst card that could slip out of his hand is a Cohort Guidance Program, I think, in this state. And
yeah, actually, a Cohort here. Oh, Gaslight. Oh, this is going to be Oppo again. Okay. A Cohort here will be quite relevant, I think, because you do also trigger Oko, and so you can ice it, and then you can Flying Spiral into a more positive gain state. But here, I guess we're just going to install 2 cards, Oppo maybe.
Really good read on Man in the Moon to like pop the fermenter before passing the turn. They're now insulated against the Oppo tags and can survive the following turn without.
You can read it that way, but also if there's an Oppo, you know you're not about to get purged. So you could have made 2 extra credits of the fermenter maybe. We're mindscaping, but we're mindscaping for money and draw, which is something you're happy to do, but also you're reducing your the threats that actually come with your Oppo.
Yeah,
with a red spin on the table, it's a little more attractive because you can shuffle something away.
Absolutely,
you can do the old MTG play of brainstorming to fetch.
The other thing is that Oppo's 7 credits, the big one at least, and with Leah on exactly 7 credits at the start of her turn, installing 2 cards that you have a very low chance of rezzing isn't maybe terribly appealing. So it makes sense to me to kind of find some amount of money to res whatever is in Server 7 right now, and that's exactly the core guidance program that we were talking about earlier.
Yeah. I wasn't even thinking about Big Oppo because it's still Leon 7 credits. I was like, there's no way she's going to be Big Oppo, but actually this does line up quite nicely to play the Manscaping. And we can simply ice the Cohort here. If you've drawn any ice of your big triggers, your big filterings. Let's see what we have. If you don't ice the Cohort, this is a really precarious position, but if you do, that's how you get back to this, into this. Yep, and we have petty cash to make money, and we ice the Cohort, we have something else. Now we have the ability to spiral into a game set where we can res a more powerful ice, such as I don't know, Boto, things like that. We're thinking, what could we be thinking about?
Leah might be taking back one of the clicks, rethinking the way she built her board.
Very possible, or maybe we want to rise a spin to overdraw. That's also something you could do with the rest of your turn.
That makes sense. Very interesting thing about this kill Oko list is that we don't know yet if we're playing Regenesis or a different way of filling the agenda suite. And they tend not to ice archives, kind of playing with the with this kind of fork in mind, where you might want to check archives, but it might just be a waste of a click, and the tempo pressure here is very, very real. And it looks like Leah decided to kind of maybe switch up the way she built her board and res a FUT behind a piece of ice again.
So again, telling you, this is the card you have to deal with. You can't really go about it in any other order.
Man in the Moon right now, 4 credits, 3 on Poemo, so fairly easy way to install new cards, but has to find a way to kind of build a board, like find accesses and go through this ice.
Okay, we are threatening the cohort here. There's no res on the ice, which means it's probably not a Tattoo Bola, probably not an Anemone. We're just giving up the cohort. That's probably the worst thing that can happen to you as a corp, because cohort is the way you make money from here, and turn the initial advantage around.
Yeah, I want to point out that despite Bochulus probably beating the Sezentan here, Leah resing the FUT means she cannot res probably her most threatening pieces of ice between Sezentan and a Boto that would be out of reach anyway. But 4 is like
do with like Tattoo Bolas.
Yeah, 4 is exactly the threshold where the runner can kind of face check anything that's not a and not care too much about it, or at least not die. And the 3 cost on Anemone is probably enough of a setback for the corp that you are happy giving out 2 or 3 Oko counters for that in this scenario at least.
Okay, we are installing more cards as a corp. We're putting something behind the other was just Multilus and not res, which I wonder if that means that we actually think the ice is something, or if we don't particularly care about the card. Like it's a FUT bait again.
Yeah, that reads to me like as if you were to install the card naked on a different remote.
No, res on this ice. This is major. Okay, so FUT is dealt with, and that's the most important part. And as the runner, your hope is that once you take down the most important piece, you can sort of, by chain reaction, make the rest fall apart, one piece at a time.
Yeah, the corp money situation right now is very precarious. The fact that we had to play a Mindscaping for credits kind of shows that as well. Ooh, that's a big hit.
And that was actually a bait. Yeah, that was actually an agenda we put there to lead to to get FUT triggers off. But it didn't work out the way. Clearly, the money was just too precarious to really be able to protect everything at once. And so we also ended up with server 9, the card in server 9 being bounced. So maybe that was good, something actually useful, like a cohort or a bloody word, but we're going to have to wait one more turn to see what that could do. So we draw up at Man in the Moon. We lose something from the Paladin. What is that going to be?
It might be just the Paladin. It might be the Bachelors in server 7. Oh, the Paladin's gone. Yeah, makes sense.
Paladin has cravings at some points. In this case, it's just going to be Paladin itself.
Yeah. Also, Man in the Moon losing one of, if not the only boomerang in his deck to damage from Fuji kind of means that the infinite possibly credit spend of the boomerang is gone, and he maybe decided that that wasn't necessary anymore. Like the Paladin had done its job and didn't see a long-term prospect for it.
Here, yeah, we keep losing ways to break ice, but it doesn't really feel that important because the corp simply doesn't have the money to rest them much. If we didn't get that Hansi trash, for example, this will look quite a bit different, right?
I was thinking the same. Yeah, the Hansi trash on R&D feels very, very important for how the game ended up turning.
It wasn't looking particularly relevant as I saw it, but very spot on actually.
Ooh, interesting pinhole. Daring Leah to use the spin doctor, and she sticks to her gun, decides not to use it, and there's enough points in archives to win the game.
Oh, okay, yeah. This is one of those cases where you get baited into not using the spin, and then you actually lose the game on the back of that. Very very cheeky play, but it ends up working out for Man in the Moon, and that's the wrap. That's the win. Well played by both players. Leah didn't find quite the economy. Losing the Blood Award and Hansi to Trashless were very important, and couldn't quite res her ice. I was curious to see what those ice might be. I don't know if she's going to res those for us.
It doesn't look like it. I don't want to. Obviously, I don't want to ask players to show us information, especially on stream, before their last round.
Yeah, we're going to wait for the cut for that, maybe.
Absolutely. Although I am interested in seeing the answer from from Man in the Moon, who confirms he had Steelskin in hand.
We did have Steelskin, but we decided not to expend it on getting through the maximum.
Yeah, interesting choice.
It's interesting to me because how does this, how many ways does the deck have of dealing with the maximum? Because we've seen Crew doesn't quite get there on its own. Boomerang does not do that. Bottles doesn't do that. So are you just relying on Chisel? Are you waiting until you draw specifically Chisel in your deck? That's maybe there was a Chisel in hand already, but that's an interesting choice to make.
Yeah, very very interesting play. Although I expect at least one Rising Tide somewhere in the stack still from this player.
Possibly. No evidence so far.
Definitely.
But, it looks like these are players that are definitely good candidates for the top cut.
Mm-hmm.
And so we may see more of these decks quite soon.
Tomorrow, definitely. Let's see if we can catch one more game before the end of the round. Looks like the King ID'd on table 2, so that's out of the question. Anything that jumps out as interesting to witness?
Let me see who's on what. We already seen a Nuvem.
Also, chat, feel free to suggest tables if anyone has any particular.
Lou, we've also just seen. I'm going to say table 6.
I was about to ask for that as well. Yeah, the Baz is interesting. Nebula matchup, I don't know how that works.
I'm gonna go and ask.
Alrighty.
Okay, you can come in.
Awesome.
This is definitely an interesting board state to start with. So we have Corphood looks to be playing a fairly regular Nebula deck. Although we see things we do see something like Escape Net, that's already a bit peculiar. And we see Baz on Crew Charm with also a bunch of other strange cards. We have Zenith Chip, which is not very common, and core damage is actually quite relevant in the matchup, probably. We have a Marjana on the board. I wonder what that could mean, whether we're playing a Rising Tide, or we just have a simple Fractor that gets us through Tattoo Bolas and some Maximums.
I mean, the Poison Vial complements the Marjana very well, right? The weakness of the Breaker is breaking barriers, and Poison Vial kind of works around that.
Mm-hmm. And very importantly, we have 2 no-free launches on the board. So Stride is ahead in terms of points and has scored a very important card in false lead. But how you actually convert it into a kill with no free lunch on the board and little money is going to be a problem for them to solve.
Looks like the runner is keeping up the pressure. The Doom Scroll on R&D is quite annoying, although the 2 ice in front of it also defended quite well. And the alarm clock is really good for Matushak here in this position. Great way to keep the Nebula flipped with the single ice on HQ being easily bypassable by clicking through it.
Yep. So we have a crew on the board. We have a chief that was removed from the game, and it's impossible for us to tell from here whether it was removed from the game by using it or whether it was removed from the game by ScapeNet, which, because it is a valid target. We saw also a second level charm here with the installer masterwork that comes with the free round of alarm clock. This is just this is the kind of deck that a lot of people dream of playing, and it's nice that some get to realize that fantasy. So we see end of the line in hand, and a lot of the time I feel upset when I can't trash that, but I think that's entirely okay here. You just you're going to be so safe from that for a very long time.
Yeah, double no free lunch kind of insulates you against Oppo into false lead. For a while, you get to survive a single end of the line if you really have to.
And are we going to double charm with Doom Scroll? Yes, we are.
Looks like we are.
That allows us to get through, although it does make HQ easier to defend in the future.
Definitely.
And are we going to see here Reses on this round back? No.
So on 7 credits, kind of want to keep as much money as they possibly can, considering the fact that it looks like a Oppo turn might be coming up very soon. And not rising against Buzz makes sense when you don't want to give them free value. Using the Chesvi to install free cards is definitely a very powerful way to improve your position. And here comes the big Oppo after the
Here comes big Oppo. Okay, I was wondering there was going to be money to allow for that. Still, as the runner here, you should be entirely able to clear and double no free lunch, right?
Yeah, that looks very plausible. Although you're forcing both no free lunches, which is maybe a positional win from Stride in this situation.
Yeah, a little bit. Oh, we made a small mistake. we actually hit the bottom of false lead before the turn was really started. We're going to be able to alarm clock. So there's still something we are doing with our turn. Or maybe we don't alarm clock because we'll have to lose clicks potentially to avoid a face check, and we really don't want to end up having to do that.
Straight asking a really interesting question about whether they can pop the false lead before the alarm clock gets decided. I think there is a window.
I think there is a window. I don't think it's particularly beneficial to you to do so at all. Like you'd rather do it later with more information at hand.
You definitely want to wait for the alarm clock to.
But also, yeah, we're not the judges here, so we're not.
Yeah, absolutely. We're not interfering here. We have judges at hand for this. We're just providing commentary about
and
the.
Are calling the judge correctly? Okay. Always a fun time to have a judge on stream.
Yeah. Call judges, people. Don't be afraid of calling a judge, especially when you're confused about a ruling like this, but like for any reason. So as the runner here, given the fact that you are on 4 credits, do you use both no free lunches to get rid of all tags and be safe?
Yeah, absolutely. Like that is 100% my play.
Okay.
You've seen an underlying in hand. I will honestly not even run with the alarm clock here because I don't want to risk any of a situation where I have to double click with it. So
that makes sense.
Just spend your turn doing the same thing. Croc's going to have a million oppos, and there's not going to be any more false leads. Like I don't think you're allowing for more false leads to be scored.
Although
Well,
if you're not
maybe that's the
running
reason
HQ,
to alarm clock, actually. Yeah, maybe it's the reason to alarm clock to just prevent a false lead on, as a consequence of this output.
yeah. Although if you do decide to run HQ, and the corp res is what looks like a message transfer, at least from this position, you might.
It's a message transfer, you just take it. That's okay.
But that means you don't have enough clicks to remove tags.
No, I mean you can just hit the face check. You
Lose 6 credits.
you literally make it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe when a message transfer, the corp goes to 0. I think you still want to respect planogram, and so you still want to clear.
Yeah, that checks out. You probably go down to 0 or 1 crate, I think, with the
Okay.
open market.
Core appears to agree with us. It is
Alright.
possible to use availability before, between gaining clicks and alarm clock.
So I decided sticking with their guns and popping the full set right away. Interesting choice, honestly. Understandable. I love the existence of lie low in this kind of positions because it makes sense for the corp rather, to pop the full set before you spend your first or second click, kind of limiting
Actually, yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's this weird text on false that says if able.
Yeah.
Actually, it's been changed in recent printing, but it doesn't work if the runner only has 1 click. You can't just remove 1. And so you have if the runner goes from 3 to 1 clicks by playing a double event, they can sort of just avoid false lead. Okay. So we are going. There's actually 1 credit from the open market, so yeah, there is ample space to hit a message as a face check and still clear everything. I don't know what we are going to do. We're just going to skip the alarm clock. This makes sense. Although, is there a petty cache in the bin? No, that doesn't look to be one. So, oh no, there is one. Okay, there is one. So it's very possible that there is a false lead that is scored back, but that sort of just puts you in a similar position to the one you were in earlier, right? I guess the difference is you have cleared the no-free launches.
Yeah.
Anyway, no score in practice. We just get to ready spin to discard and maybe install something.
Yeah, I think Dwight's line of for winning the game here was probably to force enough free launches, ideally get another full set in the score area in the near future, and then probably line up a second kill with another big oppo into full set rather than no free lunch. But without that happening, I feel like the runner has a very good position here from playing right now.
Yeah, definitely having the upper hand. Yeah. There is an install in server 5. Now this deck tends to run ambushes, doesn't it?
What do you mean?
Behold Snare.
Oh yeah, it could be a threatening ambush, that's for sure. We expect all the unseen influence in the deck to be end of the lines right now. We see 1 from Business Usual and 2 from ScapeNet. Yeah.
Yeah, those are weird but sensible includes. Okay, so the message as well. It's been and the third no free lunch on the message as well. God, Baz is so cool. We see the end of the line again, maybe the same, maybe a different one. Now we could run this remote because Behold is not really a threat, and I doubt we're doing something like Urtica.
The 2 damage from Urtica would be really funny, but I wouldn't expect
it. Also would be sort of inconsequential. Yeah, no,
yeah.
It looks like it's probably just another spin.
It looks like a 3rd spin doctor here, straight with their backs against the wall for sure in this position. Res in the spin and popping in right away. Looks like people came in prepared for Nebula at this event. No free lunch, really good card in Baz in general, I think. 3 credits for free as long as you can put down a card with the Baz trigger is pretty good, and then it gives you enough draw that you probably have cards to spare and just put on the board. So good into other matchups and game winning sometimes against this Nebula kill decks.
Predictive makes money for us again, but it's unclear at this point what we are going to do with it. If we can just ice HQ here, then we can make the server safe to a point. I imagine this Baz deck will end up cycling boomerangs. So that's definitely something you have to be worried about. And there's also going to be, I guess, another crew charm in the end, right? Because both crew and charm are 2 influence each.
Yeah.
So we haven't hardly have space to fit both.
Crew is 3 influence, so that the triple
three.
crew, triple charm is exactly 15
still very
influence.
possible.
Yeah. I mean, icing HQ at least makes it so the runner has to face the advancements of Men's Jespo, which is a 9 credit drain, like a very significant drain. On
9 credit drain unless you get rid of the Mesney on the first time.
Sure, absolutely.
Wait, how are we getting through?
Masterwork installing a boomerang is my guess.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
There it is.
Yeah, so here you are actually eating a bit of a credit drain.
Yeah.
But that's probably fine for you. You are drawing a card of Boomerang, drawing a card of Zenith. Your economy is not going to suffer too much. You're making a lot of money from the transfer. Just putting the Corp in a situation where Oppo gets more and more difficult. And the line, again, I'm not going to believe that there's only one hand at this point.
Nah, it looks definitely plausible that with 12 cards in R&D and the line being like the win condition of the deck, that's why it's really holding on several of those.
Only card I'm missing here is a Q loop on the right side. That will be like, that will feel like it sort of just completes everything the deck is trying to do. No. So we have a petty cache. Are we going to see this second ice for once? No, we just see a public trail. Public trail is interesting. This is threatening to remove the no free launch essentially, or asking the runner to just go broke. To be fair, you can go broke, right? There's nothing that important that you need that money for, since you're going to be paying for a lot of things with Chasve.
Interesting choice from Matushak to use the no free launch. I think.
Agree. I agree.
Yeah.
Well, using the no free launch seems correct once you do take the tag, but I would have just paid the money here, I think, because if you need to install the crew, you can do it with open market as well.
Yeah.
So you don't really need much in the way of liquid money unless you think there's like a second public trail, but then you just pay for the first one. So with DRS, this message has with the Mag Electric, we just seem to sort of have all of the cool cards in here. We got Devil Charming Soul while running Archive, revealing a few more cards. There's actually some eyes that was discarded. That's very interesting.
And there's a focus group in the bin.
There's a focus group. Okay, so
it's a very expensive way to fast advance something, but it gives you honestly great information to fire 8 touch-ups at the later point. So yeah, I like the double use of focus group. I don't know if it's my favorite include, but definitely a spicy one that could do some work.
These are kinds of decks that will actually be happy to play Sonic Procedure, right? Because you can play it as an econ card on one turn and get ready for a combo kill, where you know what you want to hit.
The fact that we haven't hit any ambush in HQ makes me feel like there might not be a lot of them. And this double install from Swide looks like a bit of a desperation play right now. 6 credits is not enough to threaten anything. And even if Matushak doesn't check both of them, scoring one agenda is not gonna change the.
And that's an extra thing. Okay.
And that's game.
GG. Beautiful altered on an aspect thing, by the way. They keep adding altereds to Jnet. I can't possibly keep up with what's going on with that.
I have
Um,
them turned off, so I'll have to
ah,
believe you on that one.
okay, for the stream, that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I don't play with them on JNet.
Mhm.
Usually, that's just
Oh,
my preference.
apparently we kept dodging the aspect thing. It was there all along.
Yeah.
Um, but okay. Well played to both players. I'm curious to see if at some point we can see the focus group being put to work, because it's definitely an interesting include. Um, and that's our round four about, sorry, round six about done, right?
Yeah, we're missing a couple of tables. We have still yet to report, but I think time-wise we are at the very end. I think there's 2 minutes, or never mind. Yeah, there's 2 minutes left on the clock. I don't think it's wise to jump in the game. We'll just let the few games that are still going finish.
Yeah. Let's just let it go, and then we can talk about the standings, and then I'm going to dip out.
Makes
and
sense.
Call it morning.
So I'm not a math wizard on this, but do you expect for 4x1 rather, to make it in the cut?
I
Or
not very good
5-1x
at doing
rather.
it intuitively, so I'm going to. Well, I need to think about it for a second. So this is a top 8, I imagine, right?
I don't have confirmation, but I would assume this is top 8.
would
Top
assume it's
16
a top
out
eight.
of 40 players sounds very generous.
I think 16 points would probably make it in.
Makes sense.
So Leah, for example, is someone who could ID into the cut. Of course, that always requires that you find an opponent who is willing to ID. The worst place you can be at is one where you can ID into the cut, but you get down paired.
Yeah. To be fair, Leah also has an amazing SOS, and losing to Man in the Moon, who's now on 15 points, just improves it a little bit further. So I think she'd be safe even on a loss on round 7.
Very possible. I don't want to do too much math calculation, because maybe then players are going to look at the stream and hear us telling them what to do, and then make the wrong decision.
Do your math, people. Do not trust
Do
the
your
rambling
math.
people out on the other side of the screen.
Dire, actually, every British person, not even just British players that I know, every player that I know has secret communication line with Chris Dyer, who apparently is the best at this kind of math, and will do this math for you.
Damn, I gotta get into this network, honestly. That sounds like
I think you
really
have
good
to be
info.
on Slack.
We're still waiting on a couple of pairings.
Yeah, players are understandably taking their time with the last turn.
Makes sense.
You only get one turn.
Sokka ended up winning his game against Chaos Juggler. We have Experimental Data Core beating Styx out. Styx, second place at the live Apac Continentals last week, and decided to play a second one on back-to-back weekends. Sounds like it.
Just the flags.
Yeah, absolutely. Then we have Cyberspace Panda, Matushak, Antoine, and Chip the Ripper. Probably still in the running. Although I haven't looked terribly well at the standings. It looks like Percoble is also on 12 points. So has a shot of making it into the bubble.
Congratulations for waking up at 2:30 and still having a shot at the top card.
Yeah, absolute legends playing from Europe. We have Ruben Peters as well, who used a bye just to be able to sleep in one more round, as far as I've heard. Flexing the double Mega CD buys, double Mega CD wins rather, that got him 2 buys, one for EMEA, in-person EMEA.
They make an event at Discord Worlds too, so that you can win 2 Continentals and use both buys.
That makes sense. I'd be down for Worlds too, honestly. NSG, make it happen. I don't want to hold you too long, so if you want to go, like, we can take a break.
I want to see how this last game turns out.
Alrighty.
Wait, Ruben Peters. Oh, Ruben Peters is not reported, but that game's done.
It looks like
Right?
Ruben Peter won.
Okay,
It just got reported right now. Like I hit refresh the second you told me it wasn't there, and it popped up
So
on my screen.
Ruben definitely in like good chances to make a second top cut already.
Yeah, it looks like we have a bunch of people who are well, not maybe not a bunch of people. There are people who could still make it in a second top cut out of this Continental season. Reminder for everyone watching: we have 6 Continentals this year, 3 live in person and 3 online. This is the first online one, but for the next 3 weeks at this point, so next 3 weekends, you can expect more Netrunner action on this channel.
More Netrunner. So next week is Americas, right?
The live one, I think.
I don't know. Yeah, where is it? Is it Toronto again?
I want to say Montreal, but
possible. And then we have EMEA again, and then Americas again.
I think that's correct. Yes.
Yeah. Very excited. I'm definitely going to play some more of these. And it looks like the games are done.
Yeah, we have all the records in, and our updated standings.
Oh yeah, we have the King definitely making it in. Leah is second place in standings. We'll be very surprised if she doesn't make it. And then we have a fair number of players on 12 points who all have a shot probably at making the cut, and it's going to be rough round 7 for a lot of players. I'm going to leave you as the helmsman for this last round. Have a good one. I'm going to this was very tiring to commentate, so I'm going to have a second breakfast and follow from home.
Sounds absolutely good. Have a nice day to yourself, and thank you for helping me commentate.
Okay,
see you, Tuno. Alrighty, folks. Looks like we're just us. I feel like the pairings are probably coming up in a second. Yeah, people are making the tables. Let's take a look at the first few tables. See if we can snatch a matchup that could be a win and in for our players. I'm expecting Leah and MB Kelly, or rather the King, sorry, to ID. And looks like Men in the Moon and Experimental Data Core are also in the same position. Sokka and Matrix Go. Apologies for the stumble. There might have to play because Matrix Go decided to ID against the King last round, and another ID might not be enough to make it in, depending on how many 12 points players I actually end up pushing 15. So the first 3 tables are kind of shaky-ish on if they decide to play or not. Anything from table 4 on is good to go. If anyone has any requests, we can check any of those tables. I'm leaning towards table 6 if Wondercheck doesn't mind being on stream again, because I really want to see what this Bangun has to offer. Or the Arisana from Chip the Ripper. Both are would be up my alleys. Let's see if we can snipe the table 6 and check it out. Awesome. We've managed to tune into this Bangun deck, playing against Sable on the other side. We're just a few minutes in from the timer starting. I have no idea what this Bangun might show us. We've seen kind of asset heavy Bangun lists and kind of put the runner out of in forks of having to check multiple face-up agendas and threatening kills. Kind of a new spin on super modernism in a way, where the tempo damage of touching face-up agendas and having to deal with end of the lines, public trails, and oppos can kind of slow the runner and make them fall into kill lines possibly. And we've also seen the more, I want to say, typical style of Bangun, where you ice up a single server, put a bunch of annoying assets, or upgrades rather, and make the agendas really hard to steal. Although those styles tend to be a lot weaker on centrals, and that's where I expect Sable to put on the pressure early on and kind of find points without having to deal with the Bangun ID text. Quick check on Chaos Juggler and Matushak as they wait. Let's take a look at their standings right now. Matushak on 12 points, in 12th place right now, 1.6 repeating SOS, and Chaos Juggler a little bit above him on 12 points as well, 1.83 SOS. So both players very well positioned to push themselves into top 8 with a win here. "10 seconds countdown." Very, very, very close to starting. We're just filling in, waiting for timer to be exact and not starting beforehand. And Matushak draws their first mandatory card of the game and ponders on what to do in this situation. I didn't take a look at the mulligans, but it looks like we have a mulligan from the corp and a key from the runner. And the click one draw from the corp doesn't bode terribly well for the corp. Double icing centrals, no money to be seen. We'll see if Sable decides to challenge these face down Wayland Ice on the first turn. And it looks like after installing a click in Nuka, we have a Carpe Diem challenging their Ice and R&D with the mark right away. No res makes sense. 5 credits is not a lot to res, and the single access might not be enough of value to kind of put the runner away. Like deciding to go down in money to prevent the single access doesn't seem terribly worth it. And we see a stone ship and no free lunch, so kind of insulating against the very kill heavy meta that we've seen develop after the latest ban list update. Matushak installing resing a spin doctor and then pushing a new remote. Doesn't decide to res current server 2, so we don't know if it's an agenda or not. Could be an agenda trying to get a snack out, or a possible anthill. It looks like Chaos Juggler is really interested in checking that card out, so clicks the Nuka, installs the boomerang, and then clean getaways the server 2, hoping to get whatever is in server 2 out of the way. My read would be an economic asset of some kind that Matushak really wants to be able to keep. And this boomerang is definitely a way to get through whatever ice was there. And that's exactly what happens. The runner finds the anthill excavation contracts and trashes it right away. We have a mark on archives, so no reason not to send this clean getaway on archives, get some money back, and using the last click to draw. Matushak overdrawing here, potentially putting some cards in archives for the spin to shuffle away. The mulligan into draw kind of indicates maybe an agenda heavy draw here. And installing a current server 2, despite the boomerang, is a very, very peculiar idea. Maybe trying to push the runner into running that server and ideally punishing them with some drop or a defensive upgrade of some kind. No res again on the ice, makes sense. And the runner finds that Tucana, crushes it, gains money back with the Bravado, and keeps a very healthy economic lead. Mark on Archives, easy way to force the Spin Doctor out to shuffle the 2 face downs, which probably look like agendas. But once again, drawing with Bangon and building another server, that makes sense. Trying to ideally brick the Boomerang, make it so it's stuck on this piece of ice, and Chaos Juggler might overinstall that with another Boomerang later in the line, but right now there's no need to do that, and Mothership decides to build a new remote, work around that Boomerang. Sable once again pushing, using Carpe Diem on R&D. We haven't rolled a single HQ mark just yet, but Mothership has yet to res any of their ice and actually gain any credits right now. Mothership still sitting on 5 credits from their starting total and hasn't paid any amount of money just yet. Single of R&D, nothing to trash or worth thrashing rather, or stealing. We get a Chesve down, setting up to make all these centrals runs cheaper. Always a bit annoying to install a Chesve and not use it right away. You don't get the full value off of it just yet, but nice setup in a position where Chaos Juggler can afford the small tempo loss just to set up for the future. We see an extract into a government subsidy, so Mothership pushing his credit total finally up a little bit, trashing the ice that had the Boomerang on it, so definitely breaking the artwork for the foreseeable future. Interesting include to play extract in a Bangon deck outside of Ob, just as a way to get that 6 credits right away, potentially making the deck a little bit healthier on the economy side. Chaos Juggler took a setup turn, decides to install another no free lunch, draws up and clicks for credits, and that opens up the option for Mothership to install the Anthill and definitely protect it with a bunch of upgrades and another piece of ice. Looks like we have the runner digging for what looks like breakers, or at least ways to challenge these servers. Now that the Corp has the money to res these ice, they become a much bigger, much realer threat, and that's a really important find for Chaos Juggler, I think. Seeing the Anemone in archives kind of tells you that this deck is going to force your cards out of the hand, make the runs on remote potentially lethal if you access an agenda at the end at the wrong time, thanks to Bangon's text. So we kind of get a read on what the Bangon wants to do. I think make the remote really hard to get through in a single go. And I think Chaos Juggler might decide to switch their attention completely on centrals after this newly found information. Six cards to work with, 3 clicks, and 20 credits for Mothership. Installs and resin off the book. And double advances. This is a fairly aggressive play, I want to say, although the card looks very well defended with 2 ice and 2 upgrades and the Bangon extra defense. Chaos Juggler taking it a little slower, using the Chesve, the Mark, and the Penal to get rid of one of the upgrades. We'll see what they find off of this. Access at Tucana, really good hit to prevent the Corp from snowballing their board state after this off the book scored. And a second Penal attempts to chip out all these upgrades so that they're not as scary. let's see if this is a Malapert or a defensive upgrade. These are the two kind of things I would expect in that slot for this Bangun deck. Also very interesting that Marushak decided to double advance the off the books. I'm very curious to see if this ends up being a double dividends off the books with 2 counters to install 2 cards from the deck, or if it's just gonna be a single dividends that gets pushed, so a 4/2 for example, and then leaves a click for Marushak to just install another agenda afterwards. Marushak decides to res the Angelique this time around when it's guaranteed that Chaos Juggler will hit it, and pays the money to just deal a little bit of damage. Looks like we hit the Twinning and a Boomerang. Fairly good hits, honestly. Twinning and usually ends up being one-off in these kind of Sable lists, so getting rid of it early can prolong the game a lot, and that might end up being good for this kind of grindy Corp deck. And the Boomerang, which could have been used to kind of get a Boomerang going, at least one of them, makes it so that's the second copy of Boomerang out of the game. And if Chaos Juggler doesn't have a third one, that's the end of Boomerang through any kind of ice. Off the book survives. Marushak pushes it up to 4, keeps the dividend up, so it has a chance of installing something, and reinstalls the ice that Hermes bounces. Ends up discarding just the 1. So the double advance makes absolute sense now. Thinking about the Hermes, I wasn't thinking about it, but you have to just like start working on your agendas a click earlier or a turn earlier than you would otherwise. Free on our archives, just checking what's inside. We find a pivot. Nothing to write home about, but it was free thanks to Sable, so might as well. Gain all the info possible. So now Marushak has a very hard query to answer. Off the book can find another agenda, but you can't advance it early enough to play around the Hermes. And we don't know what the 2 ice on server 3 are, but the Sable has drawn through over half of their deck, and there's a fairly good chance that they might find a second breaker that could be the correct type to get through this server 3. Codias are better at keeping the runner out, so they usually have better end runs. But running against Wayland without a killer might spell the end for your breakers, thanks to Stavkas and Winchesters and stuff. So we'll see if and how Chaos Juggler decides to challenge these servers. And if Marushak thinks that they're safe enough to push more agendas in, despite maybe the Hermes also threatening to slow him down. Icing up Archives is an interesting choice. It makes sense to kind of prevent the free Sable mark runs on Archives, although there isn't much on the board right now that would gain any value from that. Oh. Alright, peeps, sorry for disappearing. We have an unexpected but very welcome sudden guest. We have Brendan the King here showing up and to lend a hand in commentating. How are you doing, Brendan? How was your tournament?
Did pretty well. We'll see where we end up, but we should be top half of the cut for tomorrow.
Nice.
So yeah, just waiting on the result of Sokka's game. see if I'm King of Swiss or not. But I have to stay awake in order to do that. So I was like, oh, join you on stream.
Makes absolute sense, honestly. We're currently spectating a Bangun versus Sable game. We have the Bangun on 2 points with an off-the-books cord. All centrals are ice with a single ice. There's a remote with 2 ice and an above the law plus an upgrade in it, and a spin doctor outside of that. Meanwhile, the runner has a Chesvi, a Kuropier, and a Shibboleth. A Boomerang that's sitting on no ice right now. It got trashed earlier, and a Hermes. And also has 2 Northern Lunch and a Nuka with 1 counter as their resources.
Wow. Okay. Nice. And there's very high stakes for this matchup. Both players on 12 points, I believe.
Correct, yes. Chaos Juggler and Matushak both on 12 points. If either of them wins, they're likely to make it in the cut. Click 1 for Matushak is using a Slash and Burn to double advance the above the law, and then clicks to advance it again, scores it right away, and is looking to decided to trash the Nuka. Makes sense. The Northern Lunches don't provide enough value, although clearing the tag could be valuable down the line against this the kind of grindy Bangun that Matushak's playing. Then reinstalls the ice that gets bounced from HQ. From the Hermes.
And Matushak is now on 4 points?
Correct, yes.
Okay, so if there are measured responses, they are now live?
Yeah, although the runner is on a fairly high credit count. They're on 18, now down to 15 as they're playing a Bravado on Archives. Probably forcing the spin to shuffle the Slash and Burn, and also getting their mark trigger if the run is successful. There's a Revolver coming down earlier than that also that I maybe should have mentioned. So we have now the whole suite of breakers to get through any kind of ice.
Yeah, this is where it'll start to be tough for Matushak. We'll see how they're able to, if they're able to maintain pressure here.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. The centrals are all the ice are face down. We've seen a Anemone get discarded earlier, and then it just got shuffled back with the Spin Doctor. So that kind of hinted us at the at what kind of grindy deck Matushak is kind of playing here. Runner decides to challenge the remote. We have all the breakers, we have a lot of money, and getting rid of whatever upgrade is there, well, it's by itself is probably the safest way of getting it off the board. We have an Anemone res. Putting the corp down to 9 credits. Hitting a Bahia Benzin and Bravado from Chaos Jaguar's hand. Revolver, not the best at dealing with Anemone, but Anemone is not the taxing ice that it's not a very taxing ice against pretty much any killer. Honestly, probably the one that breaks it for the worst.
Yeah, I had an opponent today that probably didn't like breaking an enemy for 2 credits. It's not fun.
Yeah. That makes absolute sense. Second ice ends up being a Flyswatter. Matushak reses it right away. It will cost 1 to break with Shibboleth. And it looks like we'll see what the card inside Servitory is after that. Ooh, there's a Daniela res. So forcing the runner to go down to 0 cards in hand. And last click for the runner is to draw up. Get at least 1 card in hand, protecting from possibly some
Azif?
damage.
Azif?
Z fast advance would be lethal right now. That's absolutely correct.
Oh.
But it doesn't look like the Bangun player has it in hand right now. It's a very interesting position because the corp has a bit of a tempo advantage in terms of cards in hand. The runner has to pay a few clicks to get to a safe position again. But if Matashek doesn't exploit this temporary maybe positional advantage that they have, it might end up not being the greatest, as their ICE on server 3, the remote is not very scary. It gets broken by for 3.
How much money does Matushek have?
Matushek is on used to be on 5. Just played an extract and trashed the ICE on archives to get all the way to 11. But runner is on 17, so they can tank one measure response. It looks like Matushek doesn't have it, as the second click is to draw up. Probably looking for more options, and installs an ICE on a new remote.
Interesting. Because I was gonna say maybe the runner keeps running a few times, forgets about that measured response, and you can maybe you can't kill them, but you can get them down to a credit total that's very uncomfortable.
Yeah, that looks like it makes a lot of sense. Turns out the runner decides to click up for 4 cards, just fills the grip up and passes the turn back with another extract, trashing the anemone, getting Matashek to 17 credits.
Ooh. Okay. All right. We have a game.
Yeah, there's a new ice on the second remote, so now we have two unresed ice protecting this server 5. We'll see if we end up pushing an agenda there in the near future. For now, Chaos Juggler draws twice and then challenges R&D where the mark is. Ooh, there's a Cyalandra res. That's an expensive one for Shibboleth. That's 7 credits if you want to break it completely.
Yeah, I don't know if we're breaking that. Do we have twinning, Chesney?
There's a Chesney installed, but twinning got hit by random damage earlier, so there might not be a second copy. We have seen 2 Nukas, Stone Ship, and an Airblades as additional influence. Oh, and some amount of Bahia bands. 1 in the bin right now.
That's a rough break, but again, that's what I'm talking about. You res some of this ice, you spend some of this money, and all of a sudden you could potentially be in range.
Yeah, grinding the runner out with taxing porous but taxing ice on centrals, especially when the runner is on 0 points. The prospect of having to go through several singles again through a Cyalandra does not look appealing.
Yeah, and these are one of the things you can do when you're playing from ahead is, you can dictate terms,
Absolutely. Ice ended up firing. We're waiting on the button to get pressed.
It sure did. I don't think you can spend the money on that.
Yeah. The damage hit, it's a Carmen, which is fairly significant given that the revolver is the other killer of choice. That's very limited.
Do we know all the ice on HQ?
There's a single ice on HQ in its face down right now, so we don't know what.
If that's a Winchester, oh baby boy.
I was thinking the same. Yeah, if that's a Winchester, all the possible transfer of wealth. We've only seen 1 so far. Look a lot less interesting. 2 clicks to go. The first one of the 2 is a challenger on HQ. Ice ends up getting res. It's a Maskirovka.
See?
Interesting choice. I mean, the runner breaks it for 2 using the 2 Chesvy credits for the rest, and gets a Kurupir counter, which might be important later down the line. And last click is installing another copy of Chesvy. So right now, a single run on HQ is completely free and is a good way of farming Kurupir counters if you expect the Bangun deck to be on some big buyers. And that's exactly why Matashek plucks the hole with another ice on HQ right away.
Yeah, you must.
Draws up, plays an hedge fund to keep some amount of credits. Now sitting on 12, currently above the runner on 11, although the runner is sitting on 2 no-free lunches, so possibly can jump up to 17 to if necessary. Marcus on R&D, but Chaos Juggler decides to run HQ and finds the Winchester we were talking about earlier.
Oh, clutch ice.
Very hard situation here. 6 cards in hand, 7 in the stack, and now having to rely on Revolver or possibly Shibboleth to get through Winchester and Silendra on the 2 centrals to get singles to find 7 points that they need to win the game is a tough position. The other option is to challenge the remote over and over and over, but the Bangun tax of 2 damage every time will eat at your stack very quickly.
Wow. I'm wondering if there's any other multi-access left in the Sable deck, because singles in your area is pretty rough.
Yeah. There's an end of the line getting discarded as Chaos Juggler checks archives, and a Mystic Mamie getting installed fairly late in the game, especially considering the fact that you have 12 cards to play with, and you need some of them as HP against the incoming grindy damage that's going to hit you.
Maybe there's a surprise Ashen Epilogue.
There might be. At this point, I would almost expect it, you know.
We're open to it. We're open to it.
We've seen 11 points of influence, so there's definitely enough space for something like that. Bangun player installs a card in server 5, and we have the Sable player challenging it right away. The card is face down, so it doesn't look like an agenda, but maybe it's just Marushak trying to push it with that as an assumption from opponent. And it turns out to be an Anthill. No res on any of the ice, despite Marushak being on 10 credits, and Chaos Juggler just gets in and trashes the Anthill for free. This reads to me like we're keeping the ice in server 5 face down for a reason, and I'm expecting at least one of them to be an anemone to be rezzed at the right time.
Yeah, I'm really curious when that end of the line got discarded. Maybe we just didn't, we weren't able to keep it. Other things were more important. But
yeah,
we'll see if that impacts the game later.
Mm-hmm. I think we had to. We had too many cards in HQ. We'd taken on a slower turn earlier. It got discarded fairly late. So I think either Marushak is holding a second copy and thinks that's enough, or that the corp is just pivoting to a score or grind kind of game plan with 10 cards to play with. It might just be it might not be enough to survive the barrage of like slow pings here and there. Also, the credit total totally flipped from before. Runner is sitting on 8 credits, the corp is on 17, and plays a measure response that does not get paid. So last click for Marushak, it's a measure response, putting them down to 12, but Chaos Juggler just tanks the hit. Discards a Bahia Bend, a Kurapira, a Transfer of Wealth, and a Debbie. And it has now clicked to draw 4 times. 5 cards in hand, 1 in the stack. And definitely in a position to be grinded out if Marushak can install and res enough agendas in that new remote of theirs.
Yikes! Wow. I'm wondering, like, about paying versus taking the hit, because you only have a certain amount of hit points left. I feel like you just have to go to 0 and probably click up for credits, but we'll see what happens here. Maybe there's an Asher.
I tend to agree that the cards then feel more important in this position, but there might be some way to get more cards in. Also, chat is pointing out, and I think they're somewhat right, that the end of the line is kind of blank against double no free lunch, which are still sitting on the board. So it makes sense that Marushak was forced to discard something and decided that the end line wasn't going to be the best plan for this game.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Actions on our core player who's thinking before the first click. 5 cards in hand, 12 credits to play with, and 2 unres ice on the remote looks the safest. Ooh, install in res a Basalt Spire and double advances. So definitely calling for action on the runner side. Come and get it or I win. And Chaos Trigger click 1 clicks for a sure gamble, draws and clicks for a sure gamble, click 2, and then challenges the remote, click 3. We'll see if the 5 cards they have in hand are enough to get through the double ice and the Basalt Spire. Ice 1 is an anemone, as we kind of hinted earlier. Marshak wanted to keep that face down. Two more cards fly away from the runner's hand. None of them very consequential. A Nuka and a Shibboleth. Revolver pays for the anemone. The revolver has 1 more bullet on it than total of 2 subroutines that it can break before being completely out.
And you still have to come out the other side to be able to defend against measures.
Correct. And it looks like that's probably game, as the second ice on the server is another anemone. Getting 2 more cards out of Chaos Jagger's hand and leaving them at 1 card in hand and no way of touching the Basalt Spire without dying. Chaos Jagger jacks out, and with everything rezzed on the board, Hermes is not even able to bounce the agenda to ideally provide a possible 1 extra turn. We're checking R&D with a mark on R&D, hoping to find maybe something, breaking the Starland at this point, of course, keeping the 1 card in hand, and checking archives last click. Hopefully finding something, but archives is clean, and this looks like Marshak will just advance the Basalt Spire and win the game.
Wow. Good game. I would have loved to see You'll Never Take Me Alive, but we went to
access the agenda.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like Kessler played to their outs, hoping to maybe find points that Marshak was forced to discard at some point, but the chances were extremely low. We have a few more tables. Looks like just a couple. Let's see if we can jump into the soccer game you were talking about and see how that ends up playing out.
Please, that would be great.
Oh, game is over. Never mind. Sokka ended up scoring out with his Nebula. So looks like we missed it, unfortunately.
Okay.
1 more game to go. Let's see if that is still going. This also matters for the last standings. We have Cyberstein playing Arisana into Antoine on AUCO. Corp is on 3 points with Longevity and a Sting scored, and the other side is on 2 with a Sting and Genesis. There are 2 Public Access Plaza rezzed, and the runner is sitting on 4 tags, 2 stone ships, a fairly well built rig with like a Lillipad, a Simul chip, an Azimuth, a Propeller, an Echelon, and a Muse. So a possible way of getting more hand size with Lillipad as well. And then a Knickknack and a Nuka to complement the 2 stone ships. Corp has 2 face down ice on R&D, 1 face down ice on HQ with 2 advancements, which I wonder where they came from. Oh, probably a Moonpool earlier. And 2 ice on remotes, a Seismic and a face down on different remotes. Cyberstein passing the turn and then popping the stone chips. The first one at least to get to 7. Kind of forced. Antoine's on 5 credits and 3 cards in, so chances of killing are not as high. You kind of have to find the exact cards. And Cyberson's doing the math, writing in chat, getting down the mindscaping and the end of the line to look at them and see what are the best line to play around these. Looks like 7 feels safe enough, considering that Simulchip can get you a another card with Lilypad. So you might bait the Corp into trashing the Stone Ship by hand and then using your next turn to remove more tags.
Yeah.
Very tense spot.
There's another stone chip on the board, yes?
Yes, there's another stone chip on the board. And even if Cyberson takes a lot of damage, a single click on Nuka can kind of get them back to a full-ish grip. And he's on 4 credits, so he can easily clear 2 tags with just a couple of clicks. Antoine takes 2 credits from Public Access Plaza, takes the Oko draws.
Ooh, maybe we have end of the line double Minescape, but
that could have been the play. Turns out Antoine goes for a totally different line, so probably doesn't have enough operations then to kill. Installs a FUT behind the face down eyes and reses it. Then installs a card on a naked remote and a card in the remote with Assassin in front of it. Sitting down on 6 credits and enough assets to kind of threaten some damage.
Interesting that we didn't trash either of the resources here.
Yeah, looks like Antoine asking for a take back. Takes back the card installed on the naked remote. Ask for actions and probably looks to trash some of the resources. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, spends a click and 2 credits to trash the stone ship, making sure that Cyberstein has only 6 hand size to work with the Simul chip and Lilypad. Also 4 cards in the stack, so the runner cannot afford to overdraw too much. Reminder that the draw on Knickknack is mandatory, so if you want to get the money from the Knickknack O'Brien, you have to draw a card. And if you draw too many cards, you won't be able to get your hand size to 6 with Simul chip and Lilypad. Big thing here on our runner's turn. Click 1 is install an environmental testing, ideally popping it right away. You desperately need the money. Crowder coming in to saying there are 5 minutes remaining. So currently Corp player is ahead by 1 point, but that could change at any time. Second click is installing a cupulation. Decides to take the draw from the Lilypad. Makes sense. I wonder if I'll end up cupping one of the Public Access Plaza, or we'll keep that for a more significant asset, like the FUT that's currently ticking up.
I mean, maybe you might want to get some of the econ off the board, but FUT is a major problem.
Yeah. Cybersang click 3 challenges the FUT server, trashes the Muse to draw and gain 2 credits from Knickknack, and the res is a white space. No decoder to be seen, 2 credits in the runner's credit pool, so not enough to get through this white space unpunished.
Oh dear.
But we have an Arisana ability to be used, so maybe there's a way to get through this for cheap. Slap Vandal comes down on the white space.
Yep, got him.
It will still cost you most of your credits, so I don't really see how this ends up working out. Although you could still use the simul chip for a coalescence and gain enough money that way to trash or host the fat on cupulation.
We'll see if they see the line here.
Cyberstan decides to pop the simul chip, trashing the azimuth for a mu, installing a muse. Muse not enough to find a coalescence rather, in this position. Only one credit to play with. That probably had to happen before the Slap Vandal. Oh, installs a flux capacitor. Whoa. Just to get the money from the environmental testing. Charges the propeller. Okay, so flux capacitor is just a free way to get one more environmental testing credit counter. And now that we are through the white space, we can host that on cupulation, or trash it if we want to, but without azimuth doesn't make too much sense, and that's exactly what happens. We hosted it on the cupulation, 8 credits to play with, 2 on the corp side, so probably enough to just challenge HQ if we really wanted to sweep that. Not much ice that can get rest with 2 credits.
Don't forget about that dreaded white space.
That's very true. Last click challenges HQ, no res, finds an anemone as a maximum in a cohort guidance program, using the cupulation to see 3 cards, so no dice for the runner in this case. Trashes a Gauss.
One maybe, but didn't get one.
Yeah. Res is a Bladderwort, so Corp on 4 credits right now, after all the start of turn triggers, and Ren is on 4 cards in hand, 2 in the stack, and no way of drawing during the Corp's turn. Can Antoine line up a kill with 3 tags and 4 credits to work with? Or will we have to take more time? That's time on the round, unfortunately, on the corpse turn. So the runner will get one more chance at finding points to either tie up the score or ideally push it to 4 and win on time if Antoine cannot find the kill line in this position. Luckily for Antoine, time on the run got called as they had 3 clicks, so they can plan their turn around the fact that they won't have another one next. So no reason to line up a kill for next turn. Just make sure that all your servers are as safe as possible. The runner can get the fewer amount of accesses you can give them.
Yeah, and you know where the agenda is. So
yeah. Only 1 card face down in archives, so unlikely to be an agenda at this point, I want to say. Also, no ice on it kind of tells us that we're not terribly worried about it. We've seen most of HQ and couldn't find anything. So Antoine here, now that the time has been called, taking their time finding the best play for the last turn of the Swiss portion of the tournament. Plays a Mindscaping. We'll see if that ends up being damage or money. Oh, never mind, undoes the click.
Ooh, tense times.
Very, very tense position. You'd hate to lose after being in this position, because 6 cards for the runner to play with are not a lot, and there's definitely a very good chance of finding a kill before they get to 7, But if they only have to get to 4, that becomes instantly a lot scarier. Also prompts the runner to run a lot more on centrals, trying to find the accesses, when they might play a little bit more cautious if they were to play for a longer game. Looks like Antoine decided to go back on the Mindscaping, gain the money, draw cards, and putting 1 back on top.
How many cards are in hand?
Corpus is sitting on 5 after the Mindscaping. Running is on 4.
Okay.
Antoine clicks for 2 credits, passes back to Cyberstein, who has now 4 clicks to find 1 point to tie the game or 2 to win.
Here we go.
7 credits to play with. We have an echelon and a very beefy propeller on 5 counters, so we can get through sentries and bears fairly easily. Click 1, checks archives, sells the muse to Knick-Knack, draws 1 more card, gets 2 more credits, and sees a Semaximun flip face down in archives, so nothing there. Click 2, checks HQ. Anton asks for action before passing priority. I think without Cuban that this becomes a little less important. And res is the white space you were talking about earlier.
Oh, there it is.
Runner is sitting on 9 credits, exactly enough for white space to end the run.
End the run, yeah. Wow.
And the ice fires, so Cybersun takes the economic damage and has to stay out of HQ. Interesting that Antoine decided to res this one now and not decide to res this earlier. Maybe hoping to line up a kill with the possible draws, and now having just to protect HQ. Two clicks to go for our runner. The top of R&D is known for the corp, so there is little chance that that ends up being an agenda, but it's worth checking. Yes, exactly.
I think we just click for 1 more credit, we'd be through this white space.
That has to be upsetting. Knowing that you were 1 credit off of ideally accessing HQ and maybe finding the agenda. Now you're on 6. It's too late to click for that credit. Ooh, there's a sure gamble. So we had options around it, but now on 10 credits, Cybersun decides to click HQ again. Has exactly enough credits to get through the white space unpunished. Single access.
Ooh.
Let's see what we find. Antoine says it's 1 2-pointer and 1 1-pointer. Oh, and the runner finds to see how they run, gets to 4 points, and wins the game on time. Damn. What a finish.
Unreal. They would not be denied. Not even the white space can hold them back. Oh, good game, both.
Good game, yeah. Very well played. Antoine could not find the kill pieces necessary to win the game, and the white space held for long enough, but kind of let a bit of a letdown at the end in the last click where HQ had to bleed their last few points. Well played to both players, honestly. Really, really interesting game. And that
this round has been very, very interesting and intense.
Very intense, yeah. That concludes our last game, I think. Yep, just got reported, and we have our final standings with Sokka on 18 points, King of Swiss sitting in the top cut. We have Brandon, the King, on 17, second place. On Ayuko and Hoshiko, we have Leah making it in with 16 points, Ayuko and Sable, and last of our the top half of the top cut is Men in the Moon on 16 points with Ob and Lou. 5th through 8th, we have Experimental Data Core on Ayuko and Sebastiao. Interesting seeing a Sebastiao in top cut. Really, really looking forward to see what it is. 6th place is Marushak with Bangun and Baz. E. Bentel is playing Nuvum and Muslihat and scored a 7th point with 7th place, 15 points. And our 8th place, bubbling in, is Nervous Nightjar playing Nebula and Muslihat. Commiseration to Chip the Ripper and Cyberspace Panda, who both got 15 points but ended up not making it in due to SOS. Both playing Nebula, first playing Arisana and the second one playing Sable, so they unfortunately...
the bubble out.
Yeah. Has to happen, unfortunately. Only one buy holder made it in, although I think we only had a couple. And that was Sokka. Yep.
Sokka did not use his buy. He just lost first round and got a buy.
Oh, I see.
Yep. Yeah.
Because of course.
Yeah, of course, exactly. Sokka voodoo at large.
all the best wishes for Sokka, but like that's not the player that's supposed to get a buy in round 2. But yeah, we have looks like 2 Nebulas, 3 Ayukos, 1 Ob, 1 Nuvum, 1 Bangun. So no HP, kind of to be expected, unfortunately, looking at the demographic on the tournament. 3 different Wayland IDs, and then kind of the 2 titans of the meta with Nebula and Ayuko sitting pretty there. And on the other side, we have 2 Sables, and Musli had a Baz for the criminals, and then 3 different Anarch IDs with Sebastiao, Lou, and Hoshiko. Fortunately, the best shaper is our 9th player, Chip the Ripper on Arisana, and not missing the cut by just a few points of SOS.
It looks to be a very, very, very exciting top cut for tomorrow.
Yeah. I'll definitely looking forward to see it. I think I'm going to run the stream for tomorrow as well. So as far as I know, you'll see me tomorrow commentating the very last part of Top Cut. But for today, I think that's about it. Do you have any shout out, Brendan? Anything you want to say before we tune out?
Oh yeah, shout outs to MB Kelly, my oracle for the tournament today. Excuse me. Great job. And of course, I need to plug my own podcast.
Right.
Please listen to the King's Court podcast. Right now on hiatus, but we'll be back end of August. Yeah.
Awesome. Looking forward to it. Then I'm Warlock. With me, I have Brendan the King, who helped commentary after IDing the last 2 rounds. And we'll see you tomorrow for Top Cut. Bye bye, people.
Bye.